It is Thursday, January 5th, and we are live here for our very first video of 2017.
It's good to be in California, sunny California right here.
Yes, we're in the Sunshine State of California here at the West Coaster Toy Soldiers show. So we are super excited to be here, and very different from the Pittsburgh snow we're experiencing back at home right now.
That's for sure. Sorry, everyone.
I know. I'm sorry. But thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live. And as I said, we're here for the West Coaster Toy Soldier show, which is going to be taking place this Sunday, January 8th, from 9 to 3 p.m. at the Wyndham Anaheim Garden Grove. So we will have a booth set up there, and today we are going to be featuring items that we're going to have for sale at our booth. So
it's going to be a great show.
It is.
This is one of my favorites. Again, it gets us out of the cold weather, and we'll get down to Anaheim and be very close to one of your favorite mice.
Yes, it's Mickey Mouse, so it's very close to Disneyland. So you could actually come out to the show, and you could stop by, browse around at some soldiers, and go take a quick visit to Disneyland.
Exactly.
So with that being said, today we're going to begin with featuring quite a popular manufacturer right now called Heyde, and it can actually be pronounced two ways. So you can actually say Heyde, which is more of along the lines of the German pronunciation.
That's probably the actual German pronunciation.
Yes.
But us ugly Americans, we usually use the word Heyde.
So our first couple that we're going to feature are Heyde and Ray. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, Heyde was the main manufacturer out of Dresden, Germany. They produce a very fine, high-quality figure. And I guess the interesting thing with Heyde is it sort of has become a generic name for all figures made in Germany. Much the way like Vaseline is the generic name for petroleum jelly. Heyde, when people are in doubt, we'll just call it Heyde. There were probably 150 different German manufacturers, but very little is known on a lot of them because an example of Heyde, which was in Dresden. Dresden was firebombed during the war, basically burned flat, completely flat. Heyde, along with a number of other manufacturers, never recovered from that, and they basically ceased to produce after World War II. But again, they really made some beautiful figures. I think the first one we're going to show you is one of their
little ostrich.
This is from the ostrich hunt.
Ostrich hunt. So
Ta-da.
this is, I know. Oh, they're running, unfortunately, away from people who are trying to get them, but they're really cute, and they're Heyde, they're German, as Ray stated. So we have these two ostriches.
Ostriches?
And we also have
plural for ostrich.
actually not quite sure. And then we have this vignette. So he's very nice, and as you can see, all of the nice coloring on him.
It's a great example of Heyde's workmanship. This is part of a larger set, the Ostrich Hunt. This is only 3 pieces. The set probably had about 20, would be my guess, in it. They were actually out there hunting the ostriches, which they used to do sort of back in that period. They go on safari, and this was an exotic animal for them. So they would go out and they produced a set that actually represents that hunt. They also made, Heyde made a lot of, I guess Heyde, they were really into hunts, those Germans. They made the tiger hunt, the leopard hunt, the antelope hunt, the alligator hunt, the cheetah hunt, the ostrich hunt, the elephant hunt. There's probably a couple more I'm forgetting, but they made a lot of hunt sets.
And how many pieces, you mentioned this would be a part of a larger set?
Correct.
How many pieces were in that larger set?
My guess would be 20 to 25 pieces in that set. I've never had the complete set. It's very rare. So it's an unusual set. This is really, I've had a couple ostriches, but this is one of the main vignettes from the set. Very unusual to get.
Okay, so that's our nice ostrich set. So next Heyde that we're going to feature are these polo players, and we're both going to hold one up so you can see. So this is a 90mm polo player. This one
is 60.
That one's 60, and the coloring on these is very nice. As you can see, they have red coats on, shirts. I'll hold them a little closer.
Now this is a perfect example of how Heyde produced in a number of different scales. So there actually are larger polo players and smaller polo players. These are the two in between. So it gives you an example of basically they have the same figure they were producing a number of different scales for you. They also did some variations where here we have a polo player, and here his mallet is up, whereas the other ones, the mallet were down. So a lot of people would sort of make a little set out of them. They didn't make a lot of variations. The silks were always the same color, so I've only ever seen them in red with the tan pants. Very popular figure, probably fairly late production.
Okay.
Right before the war, like late 20s, early 30s would be my guess on these. They did find large quantities of these sort of in the 80s and 90s store stock. The large figures are very, very rare. The medium figures you do see occasionally. They also made hunt figures, which are very nice, and they made jockeys too.
Wow, these are very nice. Those are polo players. Perfect if you're a polo fan.
That's for sure.
You can take a look at these at our booth. And next, we are featuring some Oriental figures.
Oh, yeah. Again, these are Heyde large scale, and this is why I wanted to show you these. These are earlier production than the polo players. So there's more detailing on them. They're 90 millimeter figures, highly detailed, really beautifully sculpted. A lot of detail in their robes, a lot of, you know, the creases in their robes. It's very realistic. The fan is very intricate.
Yes, it really is. And the coloring, I mean, they're all different colors. So even their robes, obviously, as you can see when I'm holding them up, but they look really nice next to each other.
They really do.
Those are really nice figure. And the scale is just nice on them. They're bigger, so you can actually see their eyes and their eyebrows and that kind of thing. So, you know, very nice.
Excellent.
Next,
next?
we are moving on to our, what we call personality figure.
Oh.
He is a lone soldier.
It's a lone soldier. Now, why I wanted to feature him, he's very early. I would estimate probably around 1890, 1895 at the latest. What's interesting about this, and why I wanted to show it, is if you look at some of the early German boxes, they'll say Zinn Figuren, which means tin figure. Other ones will say finely crafted pewter figures. The very earliest production, we believe, the craftsmen in Germany would actually produce the figures out of pewter. Pewter is basically tin, and this was a trade. This is a lifelong trade that was passed down through generations in these families. You were born a pewter smith, and that's, you know, the son would be a pewter smith, and his son would be a pewter smith. So they worked in pewter, and then they started producing toys. Pewter is essentially tin with a little bit of copper in it, and some other alloys. But you could actually add lead to tin, which was a little cheaper version of pewter. And that's what I believe this figure is. It's, again, how the whole hobby started. By producing these type of figures, they were able to produce it instead of making their profit margins a little larger, frankly, by using the cheaper metal. When you hold that figure, it actually feels denser and a little more
thicker,
solid
word.
Solid than a lead figure, and you can't feel that over the camera, but you have to trust me, it just feels a little different, and that's where, again, the hobby all started from, these type of figures. So very early.
Wow.
I don't know who he is. He's someone. I'm sure he's a personality of someone. He sort of looks like an admiral or something of some sort, but I'll do some research and I'll let you know what I find out.
So stay tuned and we'll show you a little more.
I just
about
bought the figure a month or so ago.
Yes.
So.
And yes, he would be by himself, like you said, so.
He probably was part of a set, though, but I don't know what
A
the
while
set
ago. At some point he was, but yeah, so we'll have him at the show as well. And next we're moving on, to some of my ones that I like a lot. We won't call them, we'll say that I like them a lot.
Okay.
Racing colors.
Well, the racing colors. Here we go.
Okay.
This is HM the King.
So, the King.
There's
This
his box.
is an original box, so we have a pre- and post-war racing color, and you could tell the difference with their box. I'll show you this one first, and then all of the jockeys, they
Detachable.
are detachable, yes, and they have bright colored shirts on, or as they would call in this world, racing silks, right?
Racing silks. Those are the silks of His Majesty the King of England. Purple tunic with red sleeves and gold hashing.
Yes.
And then again with this box, it's a blue blueprint on a white box. that's indicative of their pre-war boxes. So if it comes in this box and you're pretty sure that figure was in that box, it's pre-war, as opposed to, now this is a French stable represented here. Monsieur Boziac, M. Boziac. And we'll show the two difference in boxes.
Oh, we're going to show. Okay, well, I'm going to show his box first, and then I'll show you both together. So this is Monsieur.
Yeah.
And as you can see, he has a green racing silk on. So the boxes are pretty different. You can really tell.
Yeah, so if it's in red box, red print with cream box, that is post-war.
He's so shiny.
Blue print on a white box, pre-war. The only other variation is not pre-war, but only post-war. They would produce this box that was a little thicker. And when you would open it up, unlike this one that just has cardboard, there would actually be a scene of a race course. And the figure would sort of be rubber banded in, and it looked like it was a horse out at the track.
Oh, wow.
Which is really neat. Yeah, my favorite. Those add value to it. And the other thing on these that you really want to pay attention to are the jockeys should have a riding crop. Now, very often that crop will be missing or disappear.
As you can see here is what he's talking about right there.
It's very fragile. And if you ever ship these, it's very difficult to wrap the figures and fit them in the box so that the whips do not break off.
Yes.
And, so the whip is important. Very often it will be repaired. But if it is original, it probably adds about $100 to the set. So that's a rather important thing for them.
Very nice. So, and how would you display these if you're collecting them?
Well, generally you display them like they're at the racetrack. So you would line them up. They're very colorful. So there's probably about 150 different ones if you get them all. So it's it's a sub collection of Britons. If you aren't into the military so much and you like more civilian figures, it's a very nice subsection. Actually, one of the rarest of them, very appropriate for this show. And I've never actually had a real one, but they did make one with Mickey Mouse as the silks.
Oh, really?
And there's actually a picture of Mickey Mouse on the back of the figure and on the box top.
Would you buy that at Disneyland?
Well, the funny story about that is basically Britons pirated Mickey, and they produced it without the rights to produce it. That's why it's so rare. So they didn't make they produced it for a very short period of time. I'm sure they got a cease and desist letter, and they quit producing it. So as far as I know, I think there's only one, maybe two original boxes in figures known. I've only handled the box. I've had an original box. Mm-hmm. I've seen a couple where people have tried to doctor them to make them look like it, but it's a very rare figure.
Very neat.
Maybe one will show up in Anaheim this weekend.
Maybe. So those are our
racing colors.
Our little racing colors, yes.
Okay. What are we moving on to?
We are moving on to Britain's Army Staff Car.
Oh, right here.
Which is right here. And we have it with its original box as well. Ray's holding that up. So, and these little guys are actually detachable, so they come right out of here.
Separate piece.
Yes.
Now, look at that windshield there. Okay, this is known as a split windshield. Unlike, they made this car post-war and pre-war. This is post-war box. Split windshield is a variation. The pre-war ones would have a single sort of windshield that came across, and they would have little bands that would come down that would sort of clip on the sides of the hood. These are actually cast in, and I believe they only made this 1957 to 59, but it could have been 54 to 57, so don't hold me to that. But it is one of those variations that's rarer than the normal one that you will see, and for a lot of the collectors, they like a lot of the different variations. So this sort of fills that bill. It also will come with different, this has rubber tires, you could get it with all metal tires, and then they did make almost a similar car, but not with split windshield. You'll see it painted as the police car.
Okay.
That can come with green, but it will have black on the sides, and I've also seen it in brown. So those are the two. And it's very similar. They also called it the Open Tourer, which was a pre-war vehicle that was a civilian vehicle. Very rare there, too.
Well, it's very interesting. So that's our Army Staff Car. Very nice. I like the scale of that one.
Yeah, these are very popular. We
Yes.
sell a lot of them, and people love it.
Okay, we're going to stay in our Britain's family.
Cool.
And we are actually moving on to one of Ray's fave sets of this show. Not of all time.
Not of all time, but I love this set.
But of this show. So
It's set number 1908, Infantry Officers of the British Army.
Yes, I'm going to show you this end label here. So this is an original box, and also on this side it says FAO Schwartz, which is sadly closed now, but
Used to be one of my favorite stops in New York City.
I know, I loved it too, the little piano.
When Bree was a young girl, we took her to New York City, and she got to go in, and she played a little tune on the big piano in there.
I felt like Tom Hanks from Big, which is a fantastic movie, by the way.
It
if
is.
you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So.
it is.
And
Let's go inside.
back
Okay.
to this set.
Little sidebar there.
Yes.
You know, what's so great about this is basically most of those figures in there are unique to this set. That's the only way you could get them in this set. They were all officers in review order of the British Army, and they would include the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, 2 Coldstream Guards, a 7th Royal Fusilier, Field Marshal, Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment officer, King's Royal Rifle Corps officer, and a Grenadier Guards officer. I cheated there, I read it off the box.
But you couldn't see them.
But that's what all those figures are. And it's a very unique set. Britain's didn't sort of do too many of these type of sampling sets. Again, that's basically the only way to get all these figures is in this set. They produced it very late. It was 1939 to 41 production only, I believe. And it is considered one of those must-have Britain sets. So if you're a Britain's collector, your collection isn't quite complete until you at least have 1908 in it.
Wow.
That's why it's one of my favorites.
It really is. It's minty. So
It's beautiful condition.
It has a
Really-
minty vibe.
Really beautiful condition.
Really like that one too. Okay, now we're going to switch gears a little. We're moving on to a Tipco Mercedes.
Timpo Staff Car.
It's a little controversial, this one.
It's a little different than what we usually carry, but it was a toy of the time. This is actually a toy example of Hitler's staff car. Very well known that Hitler would tour in all of his parades in a super large deluxe Mercedes. It was built almost like a tank. It was a very, very large vehicle. There were maybe, I believe he had about 12 of them throughout the war. And the original cars, a number of them are in museums. Everyone sort of, you know, where are Hitler's lost cars. But this was a toy version of it. Tipco was a German manufacturer that produced a lot of tin plate vehicles, mainly military. So this is sort of, it's a military vehicle, but it sort of has a civilian look to it. And it was actually sold with a number of different style Hitlers. This is Hitler in composition with a movable arm. You could give the...
It's very detailed. I mean, you can see right here the band on his arm there, and then you can see he even has this little mustache. And this has the Mercedes emblem on the front, of course. Wouldn't be a Mercedes without that, but yes. So it's very neat, and I've never seen one like it.
It's fairly rare. You know, it's fairly rare. A lot of the value will depend on what type of Hitler is in there. The most desirable one is they did make Hitler, whereas his head was actually made out of porcelain. I can't get the little thing back in there. But that's the rarest. They actually had porcelain heads, which had a lot of detailing on them, so you could really have a lot of fine paint on there.
Okay. And I also noticed that they have, it has an actual license plate on it. So there's one on the back and one on the front. Do you know what that stands for?
I really don't. It's a very good question. I don't know if that's the actual license plate on the actual Mercedes that he used or not.
It says IIA 19357. So just...
Yeah, if anyone can figure that out.
Yes,
it
if anyone
might be.
knows anything. So, very nice. If anyone knows, you can move that car, you know, you're in a restaurant. Yell at the license plate. I mean, that's what I felt like.
Your lights have been left on.
That's what I felt like it. Okay, so that was our Mercedes, and now we're moving on to a Fleischmann boat. We're switching gears a little bit.
Just because you gotta have a
because.
boat.
And, okay.
This is made by Fleischmann, which was another German manufacturer. It's a clockwork pond boat. So it was actually, there's a key in the top there. You would wind it up. You could put it in a pond and send it out to sea. The propeller would actually work. The guns swivel, but they don't actually fire. Little lifeboats on there.
Yes.
You know, beautiful condition. Why I wanted to show this is there was a famous collector named Richard Claus who wrote the book called Allure of Toy Ships. And his collection was sold about 4 years ago. And this was actually one of the boats in his collection. So it's pictured in his book. It's a very, very fine example that's all original. You know, has that nice look to it. So I thought it was worthy of us showing on the show.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely a mantelpiece for sure.
They're
And
probably 17, 18 inches long.
I'd say 18.
Yeah.
And you can actually wind this, and it is
There it
functioning.
goes. It's
So
working.
that's
It's working.
but yes, there's a lot of detail on it, like Ray said, and both of these pieces actually come off, as well as the key. The key actually comes out, and you can put it in there. So, but it's a very nice boat. So
It really is.
that's our Fleischmann, and ooh, I'm excited. I'm actually going to. We're
Ooh,
gonna
her favorite.
end with my faves for this show, and they're little guys. These two are Britons, and this is a little gnome. I mean, look how cute he is. You can just put him on your little hand. He's adorable. You know, if you don't have the yard for actual lawn gnomes to put them, you know, maybe you live in an apartment, you can get one of these little guys and put them on your shelf.
Yep, these are Britain's gnomes. This is a small scale. They made larger scale too, and they made about 4 or 5 different ones. Standing, sort of waving like that. They made them laying, recumbent. A number of different sizes and a number of different colors. This little guy's seated right there.
Yes, he's by himself, but he's so cute. He's worthy of it. Okay, this is also Britain's, and it is a boxing kangaroo.
That's part of the
His
circus
little hands.
set. He got his little gloves on and everything.
He's
So we
ready.
do sell some individual. We sell a lot of sets, but we do sell individual figures too.
He's
He
ready
likes
for...
her animals.
I do. He's ready for action. So that's our Britain's kangaroo. And last but not least, we also have this little platypus, and he's composition. He's very light, and he's most likely a German figure, but we are really not sure of the manufacturer. There isn't any writing on the bottom of him, but...
So I don't think it's a last, Lynn. I'm not sure who made this Bree. It's very interesting. But Bree liked it, and I thought it was a neat little
I just
piece.
think he's cute.
You know how that little guy relates to your kangaroo?
I do not.
You don't? Think back. They're both marsupials.
Oh.
Very interesting. They both have pouches. One of the few mammals that have pouches.
That's a fun fact. I learn something new every day. I didn't know that, so little lesson for the day.
That's for sure.
Well, those are all the items we actually had to physically show you on our live broadcast, but this is just a small sampling. So at the show on Sunday, we are going to have many other items available. So, but you have to stop by the Wyndham to take a look at them.
Come take a look at them.
Or
I hope to
purchase.
see you there.
Yes, we hope to see you there. And also, we are going to, I have a couple announcements that what we're going to be doing at the Wyndham on Sunday. For the first 50 people in line, we're going to be giving away our Old Toy Soldier magazine. So it's going to be our most recent issue, which was the November issue. And I actually have a copy to show you right in front of us here. But we produce this magazine 4 times a year, and for everyone that loves this wonderful hobby. And basically, it includes anything that you really want to know about soldiers. Every issue features different articles, and we also have a show calendar in here. We do show reports. There's a bunch of information.
It's mainly written by collectors for collectors.
Yes.
So we accept articles written by people that are very passionate about a specific field. They'll write very detailed, beautiful articles, and we publish them for it. Again, we're in our 40th year, about to enter our 41st. So it's really the backbone of our hobby. It really holds everything together. If you don't get it, you should. Go to our website. You can sign up on there. There's a subscription form in the back of the magazine.
Yes, so that's oldtoysoldier.com. Digital subscriptions start at $10, and printed subscriptions start at $36 for second-class domestic. And as Ray stated, when we hand some of these out in line on Sunday, there's a little form in the back that you can fill out if you'd like to send in a check. So that's Old Toy Soldier magazine. So the lucky first 50 people in line will receive these. And actually, in the show, you'll be able to look for us and see us with our Old Toy Soldier squad hats on at our booth. So that's how you'll find us. Look for our hats. And we have some hats to give away. So the first 5 people that stop by our booth at the show will receive a free squad hat. So, and you have to mention our broadcast.
That's the broadcast, and you get a hat.
Yes, so 5 people will get these hats, and we also have some pens too. So that will all be at the show, and that is once again this Sunday the 8th from 9 to 3 at the Wyndham Anaheim Garden Grove. And the last announcement I have is we are debuting our winter catalog right now. This is literally the first official copy hot off the press.
Fresh.
So it's very fresh. It's not even bound yet. But this is the cover. It has a Sandre figure on it. So we will be selling all of these items in January in the catalog, and we'll have a lot of the items that are in here actually at the Winter Antique Show at the Park Avenue Armory from January 20th to the 29th. So you can jump on thewinterantiqueshow.com to look at more information on that show. You can get tickets. I think there's recommendations on where to stay and all that kind of stuff. But we'll be at booth 45 under Gemini Antiques, so you can look all of that up. And this catalog is just absolutely stunning. I'm going to do a quick little flip through. And big shout out to Mary Fisher. We couldn't do any of this without you, so thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
And you can go on to raytoys.com for more information about this. So we hope to see you in New York. And
we're going to do a big preview of that next week.
We are. So
before the show.
Before the show, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, our usual live time, we'll be featuring some awesome items from this catalog. So look out for that. And with that, that's all we had for today. So
that's it. Quick.
That's it. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you Sunday at the West Coaster Toy Soldier Show.
Goodbye from sunny California.
Bye. Happy collecting.